have a word of prayer. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Lord, please be with us today as we deliberate the business of our county. Help us, Lord, to keep in mind the very best interests of our residents, those folks that pay the bills here, Lord. Help us to represent them well. Lord, I pray that you just be with those that are suffering from the fires, the devastating fires in California, and Lord, those around the globe that are just struggling from all kinds of terrible, terrible situations. Be with them, Lord. Bless them, comfort them. Ask all these things, Lord, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Okay, start out with minutes, Tony.
Yes, I corrected, a couple of you noticed a couple things. I corrected those, so the minutes that I have right here are the ones that are corrected.
I
Any
didn't see anything.
questions,
I
comments?
didn't see anything. Stan, are you okay?
I didn't see any motions by Steve Coons in here, so I guess.
I'm lucky I did get them all.
So, with that being said, I moved we accept the minutes from January 7th,
I'll second
2025.
Okay, motion made and seconded to accept the minutes. That passes.
Just make sure I get this copy back and not one of the ones you all have, because that's the corrected one.
Okay, Tony, what else have you got for us?
Let's go down the list. We'll start with payroll claim. And this was for the January 3rd claim, and that is $387,115.07. $387,115.07.
Move we accept payroll.
Stan, because he's putting his
Oh, I
Stan
second that.
Stoppenhagen on the line there. Is that a second, Stan? I'm sorry.
That's the second.
Okay.
He motions to.
That motion passes.
Okay, next we have an Eastern Alliance workers' comp claim, and these are the 2024 deductible reimbursements in the amount of $1,012.21, $1,012.21. And Steve, you will need to sign these because we haven't got your stamp yet.
Okay.
It shall be forthcoming, I'm sure.
Okay, if they have any questions about the Eastern Alliance Workman's Comp claims presented?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Then we have Allied weekly health insurance claims. And those are in the amount of $77,655.45. And prescriptions was $57,410.34. And medical, $19,519.40. And it looks like there was a backup withholding also in the amount of $725.71 that they put in here, which makes a total of $77,655.45. That's approved. You'll sign on that.
Okay.
And you verified those?
I did verify the claimants. My signature on there verified the claimants.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion carries.
Okay. I had emailed you all the clerk's monthly report. So you should have received that, and the reason, I think I might have said that last time, Doug, when Jim was clerk, it was like one sheet, but now it's like 10. So I just email them, I don't print them all off, that'd be a wad of paper.
Okay, right.
So that's the monthly
Clerk's report.
clerk's report.
Do you have any questions or entertain a motion on that?
I'll move we accept the clerk's report.
There's something else.
All right, I'll second
Oh,
that.
that is
Yours or
not-
that
I'm
yours?
sorry.
Yours.
Okay, that motion carries.
Okay. Looks like the final thing I have is the payroll time card approval reports for the appointed department heads. And that should have been emailed out as well.
I saw we had, a couple of them had some overtime. We had, Mike Brown had to come in on a Saturday and Sunday, and so he had some overtime. So Nate had some overtime after the holidays a little bit, but, so. So. But yeah, I'd make a motion to approve.
I second it.
Okay, that motion passes.
I think that is all that I have. I'll come down and get those down there in a minute, Stan.
And you don't see me coming here, I don't know what you're thinking.
Nate, whenever you're ready, come on up.
Starting to tell the difference. Yeah, that's right.
Good morning.
Morning.
Couple of different items for you. Steve, on the community crossings mention grant, the 2025 application that was opened, have submitted both of our projects and NDOT has accepted them for consideration. If any issues come up, I can always fall those back and then make edits to those, but I don't expect to hear anything back from the state until sometime in mid-April. That's pretty typical for them on CCM communications. The next item I have for you is for your review or consideration of advertising of County Bridge 44. It is a recommendation for a rigid deck overlay. I have a copy of the plans here for your review and authorization. This would be a locally funded project. My plan would be to advertise that for the first advertisement this Friday in the papers. And it'd be, and with the bids due at your February 18th commissioner meeting. I think it'd just be the most convenient with winter. I'm never sure about trying to open plans anywhere else. So we'll just open the bids on the 18th here with your permission. I think I've got a copy of the advertisement that I would post and a draft of it is available for the papers. Scope of work is to mill and hydro demo the existing delaminated bridge deck. The photograph that you see there shows some of the areas that I, myself and Brad were able to change the bridge deck and identify those delaminations. Hand chipping and sawing that out, it's just going to create kind of a mess for that bridge. And honestly, raising that deck up about 1.5 inches with a full overlay would be the most ideal. Hydro demolition means you don't get the micro cracks in the concrete because you're not jackhammering the concrete. So it's a better finish and it's one constant solid surface. So that's what I'm looking at as far as a recommendation there. Budget.
Can I ask you a question that I probably should know?
Nope. Go for it.
Is there ever any other materials used on a bridge deck overlay other than concrete?
Well, there's usually some sort of a concrete mix, whether it's polymerized or high early strength. There's all sorts of science within the concrete industry. What I'm
But
recommending
it's
with this,
never like a pavement overlay or?
yeah, putting in asphalt's porous. And as much as we say it's not, it's probably 95% of the water runs off of an asphalt, but that other 5% sets. So if we've got a number of bridges with asphalt overlays, but any of the ones that we've done, like 132 north of Bern, we did one on 500 south, just east of 000. We did an asphalt overlay, but we ended up putting essentially a waterproofing membrane. So it's almost like a pool liner of duct tape that we're putting on with all sorts of heavy mastic because the water will go through the asphalt and will set on top of those concrete beams. And at best, it'll break up the asphalt above it. At worst, it sets and it penetrates into those concrete beams slowly, causing the steel to corrode, and that steel gives those beams the strength for tension. So if we put anything other than concrete, it better be watertight.
Okay.
So, and with this, because we've got a concrete deck, we're essentially just adding strength to the areas.
So even with the program that you've started as far as cleaning and sealing the bridges,
Yep.
pavement would not be appropriate.
All I'm trying to do with the pavement, the sealing of the bridges is to try to deter this sort of of repair being necessary. So this is, pavement sealing is kind of like that bottom tier. We are just, this is a stage before needing to replace. And so what I'm hoping to do is to get another 25 to 30 years out of the bridge by doing something like this. And another copy of what I gave you, and I didn't give the press, is photos of a similar project that we did last year in October, November, where we milled, hydrodemoed, and you can see the exposed steel strands or the rebar that's in that bridge deck. That's what that process looks like just before the overlay would go in place. So we remove all of the concrete that's separated and we get one new solid surface over the top.
That pretty well, mostly salt damage.
Some of that's just salt, and once that salt gets in the steel, that rust causes that steel to expand, puts the concrete in tension. It doesn't hold on real well, and so that pops that surface. And so what you have, if you've got a cake, there's essentially a layer of delamination that ends up happening where you got two pieces of concrete that are open. Once that's opened up, more water will sit there, and if there's any salt that gets dragged from the state road, because this is just south of 224, that ends up sitting in that steel, and you don't know what that steel may look like after a while.
Is there any treatment to the rebar that you do before you buy?
When this gets opened up, there are embedded galvanic anodes, so I end up, when any of the exposed steel ends up having an anode put on it, that's a sacrificial anode, so that'll corrode faster than the steel would, so it prolongs the life of the steel mat that's there. So that's all I can really do, because many of these bridges based on this area in that time frame will not have an epoxy coating on it. So that's just bare steel and concrete. So sealing it is the best preventative I can do. I just can't go back in time and recapture the last 25 years.
And when you do your, I don't know what the schedule was, I've lost track of that, but you do your long bridge inspections and then you do your shorter structure inspections. Do they, on those inspections, do they look at overlays as well as the structure underneath the bridge?
They do look at that, and the problem that I've come across with the inspections is they do not physically chain these bridges. So if you and I walked on this bridge today, you would have no clue that there's delamination on it. There's no visual cues to it. I had mentioned to Stan, there's a bridge near his property, very similar. You drive by it, it looks immaculate. It looks like the day it was put in, other than like one flaw in the concrete mix. But there's significant delamination underneath that surface because that stays fairly hidden. And it doesn't show up in the bridge inspection reports appropriately. So I've taken it upon myself, and with the assistance of Brad, we've gone out and started to chain bridges to find the delamination. So what I'm doing is supplementing the countywide bridge inspection with our own kind of report. And I'm making recommendations right now to our bridge inspectors. And I'm going to start talking to NDOT about adding a chaining of these concrete decks as part of that inspection report that we're paying for. Because I'm not getting a clear picture.
Right.
This bridge we cleaned because the inspection report said that it was a candidate for cleaning and joint repair. When I chained it with Brad, it clearly needed a surface. So the inspection report was missing information. So we're going out and trying to tackle that.
Right.
The more I look, the more I'm going to find, and I can't do more than probably 3 of these a year, just financially. We can't afford it. But it's better to do them now and try to catch them when they're patches versus having to do a full overlay like this.
I'm just trying to picture you and Brad walking down the road swinging chain.
It looks like I'm brooming with a 10-pound chain hanging from a shovel handle. So if you ever see us out there,
Stop by.
stop by. You're more than willing to do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's going beyond the normal bridge inspection. That's a good thing.
That's my goal. So what I'm asking for your recommendation or your approval is to authorize the plans. There's a signature page that I've got. I'll just add your signatures to this cover sheet, and I would submit to the papers for advertisement this Friday.
So moved.
Second.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Update on the culvert crash. We had a small structure on 100 South east of 450 East. We had an accident. A driver ran into the guardrail, took out part of the concrete wing wall or the head wall on that. That was repaired with a standard mesh level 1 guardrail and impact ends. That was completed on January 9th. The HSIP safety improvement consultant selection, I received the consultant letters of intent or interest on Friday of last week. 3 applicants, 2 letters of no thanks, essentially saying that they weren't going to submit on that project, but were interested in other future projects that we have on the books. After the meeting, well, actually, because of the break, we actually scored those between meetings. So just for the meeting's sake on that. Then lastly, Bridge 155, I do have the 155 draft agreement. It's the CCMG contract between ourselves and NDOT. I'm just requesting your approval to authorize the chairman, Steve Bailey, to sign that agreement when it comes in. They use DocuSign, so it will only be one signature on that. The draft agreement's there for your review if you'd like, but it is for the 75% of the project. We had signed the agreement with, I want to say Hoffman, but that's not correct. It's not the,
I'd make that motion to, allow Steve to sign that agreement when it's available.
Second.
motion carries. So appreciate that. Any other questions for me?
On guardrail repairs, does that, you pay for that right out of your existing budget?
Yes, so the match money will come out of my budget when I get the contract for that guardrail safety improvement, because it's a $2.6 million grant total. I'm gonna have about a $300,000 to $400,000 design contract for that because of the size of it. I'm gonna have to ask for an additional because it is reimbursable, but I've got to shovel that first money out, and that's not in my budget for this year. And I did budget for it because I didn't know I was gonna get the grant. So I'll have to come back to council to ask for that. But it is 90/10, so 90% of that money will come back to the budget. So overall, it's not a big budget impact, but on paper, Tony and I are gonna see a lot of money moving in and out of Coon Bridge for that. So
And that's actually awarded, is that next week?
once I get the selection approved, then we'll start we'll get approved to negotiate with the selected consultant, and then I'll start burning through the arguments as far as how much we're willing to pay for any of that. So, and you're more than welcome to sit in on those discussions. I probably won't do those publicly, but if one of you would like to participate in that, I'd be happy to go through that. So, but yep, after the meeting, I'd like to just get those signature page back, and then we'll go from there.
Is this the signature
That's
you
it,
need?
yep. That's just what I'll do is I'll scan that and I'll just put that as a nice little image file right over the top of my drawings, and I'll send that off and bring Tony a copy of all those documents.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nate. Anybody, anything else for Nate before he walks too far?
I'm good.
Okay. Brad, come on down. All right.
Another member of the chain gang.
Yeah. So I figured the first thing we will discuss today is the 700 South project between 27 and County Road 150 that Plumbing Excavating had got the bid for. We have their contract. So that will need signed. And their contract is for $1,397,476.04, which is what they bid. So that's what the contract's. We've already accepted that. So we just need to do the official signing of the contract.
Is that an 80/20 or I forget?
No, this is us. This is all local funds.
Okay,
And Fleming, their portion, what you're getting from Fleming for that amount of money is exactly what? I mean, they're
I
going
mean, the
to,
scope of the project, basically.
yeah,
So on that road, they're gonna come in and we're going to put in all new storm drainage, catch basins. It's gonna be curb and gutter, and the road is gonna be widened. And then where it goes down to 27, we're gonna take some of that slope out of it, so it's
Right.
more gradual.
okay.
So that whole thing's gonna be, oh yeah. it'll be
So,
nice.
but then the actual paving of it will be separate from that.
No, this project is everything. Now, they'll get a subcontractor.
They'll get a subcontractor for paving.
Yeah, and then I think on that one, you're probably we're gonna have to white out the name, because they used an old form, so if you wanna sign it, we can white
Okay.
out the name. Yeah, so the other thing too, by getting this signed now, we can Maybe they can give us a date when they're thinking about it.
Cool. Yeah, you're
Good
okay.
deal.
Good.
Those are just the official side of it.
Okay, when is that supposed to happen?
Well, that's what I mean. That's what we don't know. We need to get this contract signed and hopefully
Okay.
they can give us a date. We really want it to go next summer. That'd be great.
And South Adams is already aware
Yep,
that they're
we
gonna
have-
have to change their transportation.
Yep, we've met with them. So, and yeah, you weren't here. So they got the two drives on the south side. So they're gonna be, the project will be broke up in two parts. It'll be
Okay,
the
got it.
west, the east end, so both drives can be open. And then when we do the west end, only one of the drives will be open. So they're always gonna be able to get in and out. Yes.
And when that project's finished, the city of Burns gonna take over that portion?
Yes. Yep. So yeah, then they've been involved in the discussions in that too. There's also gonna be sidewalk in there, which is what the city requested. So the city will pay for the sidewalk being done. It's all part of this contract. There's an agreement with them that they'll pay for the sidewalk portion of it.
Okay. That needed to be done.
So the other thing, we have two permits from two different companies. We need action on that, you think? Signing that contract?
Might as well. just
Yeah,
make
put
it
it in.
I move we signed the contract on 700 South.
Second.
Okay. Motion passes. Okay, we have two permits. One is from NiSource, which is NIPSCO. They're doing a gas service line installation. So basically, it's a residence on 250 west between 750 north and 900 north. It's a residence. They're going to bore from their main on one side of the road, bore it up to the house, and they have a gas service. Don't see a problem.
NIPSCO?
NIPSCO.
They're going under the road or is it?
Yep, they're going under the
road.
Can you a little slower say where that was again?
Sure can.
I don't have one of those photographic memory things.
So 250 west
Okay,
between 750 north and 900.
thank you.
You're welcome. This is a different company.
Okay, so need a motion on that, guys.
So moved.
Second.
Motion passes to approve the permit.
So the second permit is for I&M, and they're upgrading poles and wires. And that will be on County Road 500 East between State Road 124 and 100 South. Is that better, Tony?
Which company is this?
I&M?
Used to be Betsy would send those to me.
Okay. I'll see if she can start.
I&M, right away, address.
500 East between 124 and 100 South.
Got it.
And Eric usually likes this little tidbit. I added up and replaced 23 poles.
Okay, guys, need a motion on that I&M?
I
permit?
move that we approve the I&M work that needs to be done.
Doug?
Second.
Stan? Motion passes.
So last meeting, we had talked about, or I believe it was Doug that asked about the difference between MVH and local road and street. And like we discussed, it's confusing. So I went back and I researched it and I dug into it, and Paul's handing out, I figured handouts are going to help you. And on the back pages, it also has how they break it down, which is very complicated. And on the front page, I wrote the IC codes, Indiana code, that you can look up if you want. That's the official, how they state it, that how you can use it. But, so as in general, MVH is generated from sources related to motor vehicles, while local road and street funds come primarily from gas tax. But it's interesting because when you start reading into it, they both have a portion of the gas tax in both of them. And I mean, I could go into it, but if you guys read it, it'd be better. It's very good. Yeah, it lays it out in there how it's split up.
Appreciate your homework. I guess one of the concerns down the road for the state of Indiana, not just Adams County, is as we move towards more and more electric vehicles, there's going to be less and less local road and street funds.
Yep. And that's,
Now, it'd be interesting to know how your NDOT people, what they have in mind to make up that shortfall.
So, that's something that's been being discussed for the last couple of years. And if I remember right, the NDOT is tell her they're gonna have LTAP do a study.
Yes.
The Local Technical Assistance Program from Purdue. NDOT has instructed them to do a study to figure out, how can we make up the difference on this?
Language.
So, nobody knows yet.
Nobody
And
knows
then,
yet.
if you remember, we discussed it in another meeting. Some states are imposing, delivery taxes on like all the big companies that deliver to your house. Amazon, UPS, FedEx, they're imposing an additional tax on those packages. But what do? They hand that down to the consumer.
Yeah. Well, those issues were kind of kicked around at the commissioners' conference in November in Indianapolis. And this is nothing earth-shattering news, but it was mentioned that one of the things that NDOT is looking at, or perhaps the federal government is looking at as they gather funds and then kick them back Indiana, is there was actually a comment brought up that they were looking at perhaps a toll on Interstate 65 from Louisville to Chicago area and Interstate 70 going east and west across the state. Now, you haven't read anything about that, but that was actually mentioned at the conference. So I'm not sharing anything that's confidential.
They've talked about tolling.
Yeah. So who knows? I mean, it comes to push and shove, they need money, they're gonna have to do something.
Exactly. Okay, so that's interesting. That was actually pretty interesting for me to go through that again because
So
it's,
that in perspective, putting the wheel tax in perspective to
Yeah.
this. Kind of give us a elevator speech on the
Yeah.
wheel tax.
an elevators.
Just a short synopsis of the wheel tax.
Oh, so the wheel tax, and there again, I don't know the figures of what's imposed, but it's, different for, like big vehicles, small vehicles, cars,
Sure.
motorcycles.
But as far as the funding.
The
from
funding
that Stays.
stays, yes, and I was gonna get to that, but the funding from wheel tax stays with the Adams County Highway.
Right,
Yes, it cannot be used for anything else.
right.
Yes.
Is there any restrictions on that? How you spend it?
Not that I know of, but that is one of them we use for products we put on the roads.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome. I'm glad I knew the
Yeah.
Really, the only other thing, guys, this is just informative. Some of you gentlemen have been down in our truck barn that we just had the new concrete drains put in. You've been down there. And it was interesting when we had everything out of there so they could work on there. We walk in there and it's like, we knew it was dark in there, but even with nothing in there, it's like, it was really dark in there. So there again, that building was built in 1997. It's never had the lights upgraded.
Yep.
So we're just giving you guys a heads up. We're gonna do this building. We put a lot of money in these drains. We're gonna put new lights in it. And then the plumbing, each truck has its own spigot so the guys can spray them off. It's been probably since it was built, the water meter, the incoming line is not big enough. So if you got two guys using a hose on one side of the room, the other guys don't have any pressure. So we are also upgrading, we talked with Town of Monroe, Justin, we're getting a bigger water meter. We're gonna get a 2-inch in there. That 2-inch is gonna feed both sides, shouldn't be a problem, and we are putting in a bigger, like a fire hose size to fill our potter, which is big tanks.
So you don't have a specific wash bay, it's just everybody washes out?
Everybody washes out wherever they're at, and that's also part of that drain project was the outside wash bay. Try and keep some of that outside. So but this is informative. Would love for you guys, if you want to come down, do it before and after. It's probably gonna be a few weeks till we can get to it. If you want to come down and see it while it's dark, you can come down when he's done and it's gonna be huge. You can get a huge difference.
Lighting technology has changed so much.
And that's the other thing. Yeah, because right now,
The efficiency will probably pay for those new lights.
oh yeah, it will.
Yeah.
Yep, so
Is it a cold barn or is there heat in there?
that one is heated. Yep. So the last thing I have, which I'm sure everybody, we were out Saturday from 6 to 3. We were out yesterday 5 to 3, and we're gonna be out today 5 to 3.
things are coming around, other than it's cold, so, you know, some of that stuff that's driven on, it's gonna be hard pack, and there's nothing we can do about it. Paul and I were just talking, they're saying tonight the winds we're gonna get another inch of snow and they're gonna kick up again about 25. So there's a good chance we're gonna be in early in the morning again. And hopefully Thursday, Friday, with the warm up, we can go out and do some scraping and get rid of that hard pack. So the guys have been in, we've been hitting her, so. Tough job. Thanks for your work. You're welcome. Tell the guys, thank you. Yeah. And there again, I've told you before, you ever want to come ride in a plow truck? You're more than welcome. Just let us know.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
I can't drive.
No. If they had their CDLs, they might be in it too. That's a good reason not to have a CDL.
Take out a couple mailboxes.
Yeah. You don't need that problem.
Just so you know, if I was driving one of them, I'd have a cowboy hat on.
Okay, Rick texted me and won't be able to make it, but he didn't have anything for us, so we're gonna pass on building maintenance. Ed, you're up. What do you have for us?
Earlier this morning, gentlemen, we had our financial board meeting and it went well. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I just want to put this thought into your commissioners' minutes that I'm very proud of the work that our office has done, and they're open to it. The books are open. Come and check anything out at any time. Any questions we can answer, we're there. I've got a great staff and things are going along really well, so thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
I just to mention, Ed, it probably was when I wasn't here, but as always, your office was our county's very good at collecting property taxes. And I think I heard you mention in our meeting this morning, it was over 98%, which puts us near the top in the state. That's worthy of mention. If that, you haven't had coverage on that before, I think it's worthy of mention.
It's nice to keep track of how we do in comparison to the other counties, and we're in real good shape.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Okay. Colton, right on cue, buddy. You're up.
Perfect. Timed it just right.
Good morning.
Morning.
Really don't have much of an agenda of what all you want to hear, but just wanted to come provide a bit of an update, maybe a little bit on 2024, and then kind of what our priorities would be for 2025 here. 2024, as always, one of the biggest things that we do is our BR&E, business retention and expansion. So we're going out and making sure that our existing businesses are satisfied, happy with the community. If they have any needs, that we're helping them solve, whatever problems that they may have. One thing I encourage you to do towards in the fall, really started early on in 2024, the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, so the state corporation, decided to make a video about the business retention and expansion process. They made one of these videos and they chose ourselves, Adams County and Smith Brothers, to film this video. So we filmed that at Smith Brothers. So I would encourage you to have a look at that. I can send that to you. It's also on the IDC website. You can find it there. I think it's about a 7-minute long video, just kind of talking with kind of the key partners we have in our BR&E process. But then we do that with the state 2 to 3 times a year. But then I'm also going out and doing visits throughout the year, calls, emails, all of that, making sure that we're connected. So that's kind of always the priority of what we do.
Okay. Colton,
Yes.
can you talk a little bit, maybe more for the press and public? Can you talk a little bit about some of the efforts that you've undertaken relating to that business retention piece of the economic development work that you do?
In terms of
Like your early learning program, the things that are.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to
Okay.
next. I mean, so that's kind of the crux of what we do, right? And then anything we do outside of that really stems from what are the businesses saying their needs are, right? So if we go in and the businesses are saying, hey, we need people, for us to get people, we need houses, well, then we're going to work on housing. If we go into businesses and say, hey, we need people, there's a barrier for people to get into the workforce, and we've identified one of those us, as we do interviews, is early learning, but then it's our kind of, we have to go and solve the early learning problem. So we kind of have those, you may typically think of quality of life, quality of place type issues, but a lot of what we do and work on stem from, well, what are the businesses telling us? And so a few of those that we've undertaken over the past several years, as you know, housing was one where we put together a housing coalition. We got some funding from the county and each of the municipalities to go through a process with a consultant to get a market analysis completed. Identified several different catalyst sites to, have been designed. One is kind of, land survey has been done, as you know, and so two others that we know are there that kind of are the next ones up once we get to them. Part of that, you all commissioners approved last year the Hoosier Homes program, which is a down payment assistance program. And so that has gone well. We've had people signing up for that. At last check, we had 22 people sign up for that. And 17 of those have been sent to a lender. So I would say that's successful, right? That's something that we can quantify and say, is good for the community. And so housing is something we worked on. Imagine early learning is another one that we identified, which was a barrier to getting parents into the workforce. That's kind of a multifaceted issue because you can build a new facility and create 100 seats for students, but somehow parents have to pay for it, and childcare is not cheap, so we have to solve the affordability problem. You also have to have the staff to operate that facility. That's another problem we have. The Imagine Early, or the early learning arena itself has a workforce problem. And so it's a multifaceted approach, but we did create an entity, an Adams Wells combined entity called Imagine Early, hired an executive director in 2024 to pursue that and to find solutions to those problems. And she's done a great job so far connecting with the providers, connecting with businesses, trying to understand where they're at, what their issues are, and solving, some of those problems. One of the things that you'll see in 2025 here as we look into this year at the regional level, and I'm fortunate enough to sit on the Regional Early Learning Coalition Board, so I'm kind of involved at the regional level as well. We have a TriShare program that's getting ready to be launched. And so what that will do, that's kind of more so addressing the affordability for parents. And so it's working with local businesses who may want to participate. And so we would look to our manufacturing industry, the hospital, whoever. And the hospital, let's say, use them as an example, they would take it on and say, well, we're going to pay for a third of our employees' child care. The employee would pay for a third, and then these grant dollars would pay for a third. So it lessens that cost of by a third for the parent, which is critical in trying to get them back in, because often the price of child care, you're going to make enough. You may have a little bit of revenue after you pay for child care, but it's often not enough for a parent to jump in the workforce. So that's a program at the regional level that we're partaking in as we move into 2025. And then with that too, another regional program is shared services. So that's any provider in Adams County that needed help with the back end work, the bookkeeping, the payroll, all of that type of stuff. They can buy into a shared service model at the regional level that really does that back house work for them, takes that off their plate so they can focus on the care of the kids, the quality of care, so on and so forth. So those are some of the early learning things that we've kind of done over the past year, been a part of, and will continue to do as we move into 2024. As you know, tourism is something that we launched here in 2024. We hired Taylor on board kind of in the late spring, early summer of last year. And so she's part-time. She's been trying to wrap her arms around that, figure out how do we create more tourism in Adams County. We've been connected at the local, regional, state level with different people, trying to get as much research and information as we can to understand what we're even trying to do. I think that's a big piece of that. We know we need to take advantage of tourism, but we don't exactly know how to do that at this point, how other communities are doing it. So we're doing a lot of benchmarking and trying to figure that out. That will continue into 2025. County vision. That's something, that with the leadership of Commissioner Bailey, he's really pushed that. We've come alongside and helped wherever we could add, capacity to that group leading that effort. So that obviously will continue here in 2025 and be a priority to get that done. I think, for me, that is a critical component for the future of Adams County. So that we're all kind of speaking the same language when, Stan, if you say you want this growth, Steve, you want this growth, and Doug wants this growth, that's all good, but we all need to be speaking the same language so that we can all kind of move towards that growth together, whatever that may look like. And I think a huge component of that will just be getting the community buy-in to the future of Adams County. I think there can tend to be a lot of apathy towards the community. And so we want citizens that are proud of their county, proud of the communities that they live in, and I think that specifically will do that. Something that we started in the fall, we'll move into this year. The EDC is working with the Northeast Indiana Innovation Center. Nick, we have a business coach that comes and sits in our office 2 days a month that provides free assistance. The EDC is paying for it to small businesses. You can come get several hours of free just coaching. She's a sounding board. She'll just listen to what problems you have, try to offer solutions, or just listen if that's all you need. So the EDC has that. We do that in 2025 as well. But obviously the big piece of what we'll do as we move into 2025, specifically in the first half of the year, throughout we'll do it, but is our business retention, getting out to the businesses, understanding what their needs are, and making sure if they've got problems, we've got solutions.
I probably need a 101 on this too.
Sure.
Can you explain a little bit the financial makeup of your organization? Where the finances come from to do all of the things that you're talking about?
So we are a nonprofit entity. So we're a 501c4 standalone nonprofit entity. Our funding comes from fee-for-service agreements with the different municipalities. So the county is one. We have fee-for-service with each of the cities, 2 towns, Monroe and Geneva. And then we also have private donations from businesses that are investors into our organization.
And you do some grant application or anything come from the state level to the individual economic development?
Not into like our operating, we've not done that, but if we've got specific projects we're trying to accomplish and there are grants available for those, then we would apply for those. We don't typically go for grants into our operating funds. And we're not dissimilar to any other economic development office in the other 92 counties across the state. That's kind of the general makeup. Most are kind of
Now, are you a county employee or are you an employee of the Economic Development Corp?
I'm an employee of the Economic Development Corporation, which has a 17-member board, of which the county has 2 seats because they provide that fee for service. Each municipality outside of the county has 1 seat. And then we have at-large members that we go out and determine. We need to hear from the healthcare industry. We need to hear from the small business industry, the insurance industry, things like that. We can bring those in. So I'm an employee of that entity, and that board oversees my employment. We're not a county office.
Okay, well, I, for one, appreciate the work and appreciate Steve's involvement. He's the commissioner, I think, that represents us as a
Yep.
board.
We love having him on there. He's been a great addition to the board.
I don't have any other questions.
Stan, Doug, anything else for Colton?
Perfect. Thank you, gentlemen.
Great update. Thanks. Again, don't be a stranger. Come see us every few months and just tell us what kind of work's going on there.
Yep, and as I always say, I throw that right back to you. Don't be a stranger. If you've got questions, if you want more of an in-depth dive on certain things about what we're doing, our office is available. I'm always available to you. Please don't hesitate to come back and give me a call.
Good. Thanks.
Thanks.
So that was our last contribution.
Megan, you standing in for Mark today. I have Mark on my agenda. I'm looking for Mark. I think even better, Megan's out there.
And he's sick, so.
Well, we don't want him around then.
Right?
We don't have the man who's in charge. We have the woman that knows what's going on.
Exactly. So there's 2 things. I got 2 subdivisions that I'll bring up in a minute. First is the reappointment for Paul Rumpel on Plan Commission. Mark asked him and he does want to be reappointed. And Mark and I both want him reappointed, but it's still ultimately up to you guys to reappoint him. His 4-year term ended at the end of this last year, so he just has to be reappointed. If not, you guys need to appoint someone to replace him.
You know Paul, Doug?
Yeah, Paul's dad and I are first cousins.
Oh.
And I've served
He's
with
very
Paul.
involved.
Paul is very engaged,
Yes.
very engaged in that
I would
discussion.
have no problem making that motion to
Well,
reappoint.
is that one?
Yeah, we'll
we're gonna
cover
do
that.
all
I
of
think
them
we're
on
gonna
one
cover
by
all
one
those in a little
together.
bit, so, but Paul's on our list, so
Yeah.
we'll take
Okay.
care of that
All right.
shortly after you're done.
All right. And then next is 2 subdivisions. Lay those right out there. Yeah. I don't grab the mics. First one is John B. Lindsay subdivision, and they're just taking 80 acres and splitting out the buildings from the farm ground.
That's Hartford Township, right?
Yeah, it's 1100 south between 6 West and 650 West.
Right down the corner. It's right down the corner of Adams Wells and after Jay. Mark, have you had a chance to take a look at this by chance?
No, not that. I don't usually see them until they come in here, but
Then like we've said, they'll still be able to split off one more piece off of that.
Correct.
so.
And this comes as a recommendation from the planning commission.
Correct. Design committee,
Design.
the zoos,
Okay, so
planning
this,
commission gets the,
so is this the first, this is the first plat
correct.
of this? So they're just, so they've got, what is it? Well, it's basically, it's 80. So lot 1, 2 acres, taking 2 out of the 80. Lot 2 is
Yeah.
78, so.
2 acres is still a minimal amount, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, that's clean. You got access over here, and access here, so. Oh, here,
Yeah,
three-way,
three-way.
three-way access, yeah.
Yeah.
So we need a motion?
I move that we accept the Lindsay subdivision.
Doug,
I'll second that.
Stan? Made and seconded, passes. Okay, so
Need to
go ahead and
sign?
Yeah,
Sign
sign
is
there. and
up here.
there.
Okay. No planning commission this month, is there?
Correct. You will have one in February.
Here's the PCA.
That's 7 PM for the sheriff. This one is already a subdivision, and currently it's parcel down south, and then it's kind of Tetris piece up top. And they're just moving the boundary line from here to over. So they're just shrinking this guy and putting the land back to the guy.
Okay, where's the location of this
So
again?
it's 300 east,
300
8
east,
north.
8, oh, it's way up there.
Yeah.
No problem.
No, you're adding back into the larger tract, it looks like.
Yeah.
Any problem, go ahead, Stan, if you want.
Yeah, motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, motion carries.
There's 2 lots there, right?
Correct, they're just taking this little piece and moving it back into here.
Oh. So there's 2 years.
Well, so no one did both of those?
One of them was
McKinney
McKinney.
did the first.
Oh, no, we're good. If they have any. Okay. Yeah.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, Megan.
Thank you, Megan. Yeah. Yeah, usually.
Oh, Moore does, you haven't seen that first.
I'll remember that next time.
Well, that's the original tract. Cut 2 off of it. You better cut another 2 off of it.
That's it.
Okay, Mark and Clayton, you're up.
Probably not.
Mark, what did you got for us?
Follow back up here on appointments. So we've got, Soil and Water Director, and I think you already did the motion on this, so it's Chauncey Cook. And we just didn't have that form with her name on there.
Okay.
So I have that. I think based upon what I have on my records, I think you included that in your motion
I
to
believe we
appoint
did.
her.
Yep,
I believe we did.
So we just
So
need
we just need to
that
sign that.
signed. So that's right here.
And we
Then
want to move on to the,
to the 3 years,
yes,
or the 4 year or the multi-year appointments.
the individuals.
I had left off here. And are you doing the, PETA BOA and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can move on to those, to those, non-county employee appointments.
So we had, and I'm gonna call Jessica here and see if their health board, I can't imagine they're not recommending her for reappointment. I don't know of anything. Does anybody? Is Jessica, Jessica's still here, right?
Yeah, I don't know if anything to your question.
Okay, so I guess I'll call and talk to her and make sure that
Okay.
before you guys appoint her, that the health board has, recommended her for reappointment. I
Okay.
assume they have, but I have the form for her here. You already did, Barb Lehman, Dan Hackman, Rick Burkhalter. So then we have the Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeals, 1 year, Max Beer. Anybody
Yeah.
talk to Max?
I think Tony said that
I
his
think
office has
everybody's been
reached out to
contacted.
everybody. I think everybody else is looking to be reappointed
Okay,
and has been reached out to and agreed to accept that reappointment.
okay,
So I don't know whether you just want to do all those.
that's fine with
Kind of
me.
one foul
So,
swoop here works for me.
Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeals is Max Beer, Rex King. And we've got Wabash Heritage River Corridor, Randy Lehman. Well, that one I'm showing. Oh, there must be 2 of those. One's open. So I've got Randy Lehman. Then Alcoholic Beverage Board, alcohol. Why do they say alcoholic beverage? It should just say Alcohol Beverage Board. Right? It's not a board for alcoholics.
Well,
We'll just call it our A.
That's what it says. All right.
Wabash River, Mark, Randy Lehman, and you say we have one opening, is it? I probably need to talk to Randy. Is there any reason why we should try to fill that second position, or?
Yeah, I would.
I don't know much about that. Yeah, if you wouldn't
Yeah.
mind, talk to
It's
Randy
the-
about
Yeah,
that.
it's the larger one
Right.
where they may meet in Lafayette.
Yeah.
Occasion, I think we've had one meeting in this part of the Wabash. But, if I can get a number for Randy, Tony, Randy Lehman, I'll check with him.
See if he has anybody that he thinks might be good and be willing to serve on that, then you can.
The
fill-
second one,
Yeah, you
yeah.
can fill that out.
I'll get you a number.
So John Kinst, Alcohol Beverage Board, Barb Lehrman, Commissioners District 3 Advisory Board, which would be the EMA Advisory Board.
Yep.
Bill Grimm, District 3 Advisory Board. And then are we doing Stan on Council on Aging Board Member?
I would think so, yes.
That's okay with you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
sure.
So we've got that one. And then already did Shannon Green. Then I've got, then we flip over then to the multi-year appointments. So do you want to do a motion on these ends?
Yeah,
these
let's
1 year?
do those 1 year appointments if
That I
that's
just
okay with
read.
you guys.
How do you want that motion considering we've got an open position on Wabash?
We don't have a name to fill it,
I
so
just
we're
make
just
a motion
filling the
for
one
ones
that we
got
have.
names for.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
So here's all of those. Those should be in order.
I second it.
Okay, motion made and seconded to appoint those. The motion passes for those individuals that Mark just reviewed.
Okay, so let me check all those. All right, then we move on to the multi-year, and we already took care of the drainage board appointments. Russ Flickinger, hospital board trustee, and that's a 4-year term, and I do have his form here.
We have that. I know we heard that recommendation from the hospital board, from
They sent a
Dr.
letter.
Smith.
Okay,
In December. I'm not sure whether you heard that, but
so I've got that one. Then I have, Adam McGee, community corrections.
that's not good.
Adam McGee, community corrections.
Okay.
4-year. Good with that one. And we got
Yep.
Steve Austin, community corrections. 4-year. Matt Dyer, community corrections. Got Fred Velez, community corrections. Matthew Loth, community corrections juvenile probation officer. 4 years. And we got Paul Rumpel, plan commission. That's 4 years. Ted Beitler, burn plan commission, 4 years. Barger, health board member, 4 years. Brad Boyle, health board member, 4 years. And then we've got Blair Brown and Louise Ray, and those are appointments to the Adams County Hospital
Oh, that's so bad. They get them out of there.
Association Board.
That's somebody that might fall on it.
Have we talked to these people?
Everybody should have been contacted.
Tony says they
They
have
said they
been.
were.
Yeah, so Blair Brown and Louise Ray, appointment to that Hospital Association Board, which that board, we do minutes every year.
Once a year or something
Yeah,
like that.
it's literally just the bonding corporation for
So
the,
you're including those on our recommendation here?
yes, yeah.
Okay. Was that it?
That's all I got. That's
I move
everything
that
on my
we
list.
appoint the individuals that Mark just mentioned.
Motion made, seconded, and passes.
All right, so I'll send those down. This could be signed. Sign them all later upstairs.
Tony, I might have to borrow my stamp back.
It's upstairs. I have. Steve hasn't gotten his back yet, so.
And I think, do you have anything else, Clayton? I think we've got the notice published for the public hearing on the horse-drawn vehicle ordinance for next Tuesday. I think that's set maybe at 10 a.m. at the beginning of the meeting.
It's set at the beginning of the meeting, so I'll have the public hearing.
So we'll have the public hearing on that, and then after that, that'll be on the, we'll make sure we put that on the agenda, Tony, for consideration for adoption.
You said that was already.
It's been advertised.
It's been, yeah.
But I would put down under, on the agenda, under county attorney, put consideration for adoption of equine drawn vehicle ordinance would be
That's next week's
2024,
meeting.
next week. And I've got the actual, this is the ordinance that was introduced. We don't sign it because it's just introduced, but if you need that, Tony, for your record, I'll make a copy of it here for you. I don't have the number, but I think
I don't know if it's there or not. Yeah, if you want to copy it,
I'll make a copy of it here for you.
she needs to put public hearing along with
Yeah, public
consideration.
hearing will be, need to be at the beginning of the agenda. When you get that draft agenda, send it to us,
I got
we'll make sure it's what it needs to be. So, I think that's all I have as far as needing action today.
Shannon, what have you got for us this morning?
So all of the files that were at Golden Meadows were relocated to the basement in this building. And then we had an employee who stayed on to scan them for me. So they've all been scanned to the computer. That's done. So now I need to shred them. I reached out to the shredding company and they are available on February 6th, but that would have to come out of your budget. It's not my own budget. So I just need permission, if that's okay, to schedule that and then pay for it out of a line item in 68.
And I'm assuming the commissioners have that money available. How do you have an idea of what it's gonna cost?
I looked yesterday and it looks like the first 96 gallon tote, they charge us like $100 and then everything else after that's 45. And I think I probably have like 6 or 7. So $500 maybe, it's not gonna be a ton, but
I'm not sure
I
we're
am
okay
gonna
on
open it
that.
up to the rest of the county. Just
That's,
so everybody
yeah,
else.
I'm sure we're fine on that. I don't know whether, find a line item for that to come out of, but, my question would be, do we need to, would it be helpful to coordinate with Rick and make sure that other departments, if we've got the shred truck here, we might as well shred everything that needs shredded. So we just make that available to the other departments to maybe centrally locate their shred somewhere. And then when the shred truck shows up, we just have a big shredding party.
Yeah,
Yes.
but do those departments have a lined item in their budget for their own shredding or?
I bet we can cover that, Doug. If we can make space in this
Well-
building, I think we ought to figure out how to
Well,
pay
yeah,
for it.
I just wanna make sure that,
There'll only be one bill. I
Okay.
mean, I know the
all right,
shredding company.
I don't have any problem with it as long as everybody, as long as we've got the funds, cause I don't know, I haven't seen the commissioner's budget.
Do we have, can we do that under preservation of county records? Maybe we've got 12,000 budgeted in there.
Did you?
I wouldn't know
why not, because it's making room for county records.
Yeah, yeah.
Do any of these fall under the retention schedule where you have to keep something so many years?
Yes, they do. And I already checked.
You've already checked on all
Amy at the
that?
State. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We checked on it last year before we even
Okay.
I
started.
think we go through that,
Just wanted to make sure.
on the Public Records Commission, we have a meeting.
Yeah.
And I don't know when, but we go through that. At least we did.
That's
When I was
usually
on
in
before.
January,
Oh, yeah, that's by
February.
statute, and
Yeah.
that's part of it, is the
Right.
retention schedule. Once you
Right.
get past the retention schedule, you're free to shred,
Right.
and that is part of maintaining public records.
Or if you have, if electronic retention is acceptable,
Mhm.
then you can shred as soon as you've got them available electronically, archived and available electronically. My question to
True.
you would be, have you double checked to make sure that you can find what we need to find, that the records are available, that there was a good scan project and,
Oh,
you know,
yes.
all that concerns me. Once we destroy records, the paper, was the scanning done effectively and can we find what we need? And is it in backed up and all that stuff? So
Okay.
Tony,
Yeah.
when is the Public Records Commission meeting?
Sandy Brown has not sent out an email on that yet. It's normally held in January or February though.
And I think we go over, I
It's
think,
right in here.
yeah, we have it in here, and they go over records that can or cannot be shredded at that time. Might be a good idea to make sure that everybody's on the same page on this, with the commission.
I know Tom Krugerberg is on that committee as well, I think Vice or something. But Shannon said she checked on the retention schedule, but I'm not sure where, when Rick coordinated his shred day,
Yeah.
I don't know, he might have paid that out of buildings and grounds, but
We did, yeah, but that's fine. I mean, Golden Meadows budget is 0, so that's.
Right,
why I'm
yeah, you
asking
can't pay it out of
guys.
there.
Right.
I'd say work with Rick, but Doug may make a good point.
We could hold off on the
Maybe
rest.
just hold off long enough until after that next meeting.
Do the Golden Meadows thing and better have this commission meeting first.
Let me add, I'll email Sandy, and if she answers quick, I can let you know.
I've not sat on that committee. I mean, how do they work?
Well,
Do people come to them and say,
Yeah, they
"Hey, I
come
wanna
in
shred
and,
this,"
and
and
departments usually say, they usually have a schedule of what can be shredded, and they have a time frame with it. Sometimes it's so many years before they can, so it'd probably be safe to hold off. I don't have any problem with the Golden Meadows, but the rest might let these department heads go through.
Yeah, Dan?
Yeah, Sandy sends out emails on a quarterly basis about that updates of the scheduling stuff. So, I mean, all the department heads get those from Sandy.
You really don't think we need to wait till that meeting to have that? There's no approval that they get to
No,
shred
it's up to the
documents?
department heads ultimately responsible for, it, but she sends out what those schedules are. So every department has that and has had that. So anytime there's a change, she puts it out to us multiple times a year. So I don't necessarily think waiting for that meeting is necessary because she keeps us updated on all the scheduling throughout the year.
I think the only thing to wait on would be if you do what Steve suggested and coordinate with Rick, but that doesn't mean you still couldn't do it February 6th.
It's an ongoing process.
Correct, and she puts us out, anytime there's a change or like that, Sandy's putting it out to all the department heads, because it's not the commission's responsibility to teach the independent department head keeping it, because, everything's different, payroll's different from this.
I would just hate to have the truck come just specifically for Golden Meadows whenever we might have other department heads that could utilize the shredding services as well.
I have an email prepared to go out to all department
Cool.
heads. I just
Okay.
didn't want to send it
Yeah.
yesterday
They
until
can-
I talked to you guys.
They have something.
I think that's fine, and
Yeah.
work with Rick and see where we can pay that out of, and if it has to come, sounds like preservation of records is a good place.
Yeah.
Well,
that'd be fine.
Yeah, my budget probably isn't completely up to date. I can look at it here too.
I don't
but-
think you guys use that very often, so I think it should be fine, but I'll double check before I pay it.
Well, unless Rick already has something in his budget, I don't know.
Work with Rick, but let's get it done.
Thank you.
You could probably go ahead and include Sandy in an email and just tell her, hey, this is in the works. If there's any updates that you want to send out here before this happens, get the updates out so that we know.
The next Public Records Commission meeting is at Circuit Court Jury Room, March 19th at 9 a.m.
So it's ways off.
So it's a ways on.
Yeah. On those, who's the contractor you're talking to about the shred?
Pro Shred.
Pro shred, okay.
But like I said, I talked to Amy at IARA, which is the records people at the state, about the records at Golden Meadows, like in 2023,
Sure.
when this all started, because one of my goals was to get stuff shredded if we didn't need it. And so now we're just doing it all at once, so.
Good.
Yeah.
I think I've had Stop and Shred from Fort
Hey, Tony,
Wayne come down to
Where's
the
the
office
location again?
twice.
Circuit
In the
Court
last
Jury Room, it
year.
said.
Okay.
And so the way it usually works is depending on how many, they go by totes. And so they bill you based on the number of totes that you're gonna shred.
Commissioner's budget.
And what happened was we had enough that the truck come down, they couldn't get it all. And so depending on what you're doing, they're probably gonna send the truck down multiple times. They're not gonna get it all in one. And if you have enough totes, they won't charge you for a separate trip charge.
Right.
So you can kind of talk to them. So I don't know, that's the way it worked for us. I still got records to get rid of.
It's looking like, pulling up the current budget. I don't know how much it costs to shred. I mean,
I would imagine it's not gonna be more than $1,000 at absolute most. I looked at a bill the other day that we had, I think, 7 totes on, or 7, it's a 96-gallon drum. It's a trash can, like you have at your house. I don't want to say it was like $375. It's not gonna be.
Yeah.
any-
we've still got 11,473.65.
I'll work with Rick and I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
My other question was, there's 2 conferences, that I wanted permission to go to. One of them is the Barrett McNagny Annual HR Seminar. They do like legal updates and stuff. It's in Fort Wayne. I go every year. Then they feed me, so the only thing you guys would have in it would be mileage. And then the other one is the AIC, the Association of Indiana Counties. They have a legislative conference in February every year. So for the first time this year, SBOA is presenting directly to HR professionals in the state about HR and SBOA related topics. It's unfortunately only a 3-hour class, but I think it would be really beneficial to hear their perspective on specifically HR-related things, if you guys are okay with that too.
I move we give Shannon permission to attend these conferences.
Yeah, I would second that. The only thing, when you do go to a conference or a class, if you could, I assume you keep these, if you have a certificate of completion, that would be good for us to see, or if there's some reason why we approved a class that you were not able to complete, let us know, maybe. Okay.
Motion passes. Okay. Into the agenda, guys, what have you got? Other matters properly presented. Stan, Doug, updates?
Just a couple meetings, that I've had small group meetings to discuss wage structure for county employees. No action, nothing resolved, just Shannon participated and council participated, so that was nice to have that discussion. Discussion on, finance, options for the judicial project. Mark participated in that, so I appreciated the participation. Council also called that meeting, and so just kind of some ongoing projects there. As far as Council on Aging, the transportation building they are framing. Concrete's all in, framing, trusses have been sitting there for probably a week or two, probably. So I don't know what their close-in date is, but the framers are probably having cold fingers and toes today, but I bet they're working. I haven't been past them.
As long as the concrete's in, no reason why it can't go up.
Yeah, so progress there, and so we hope to get those vehicles inside as soon as possible. And, and as we discuss economic development, that has been a real quantifiable, positive effect on our businesses in the county to offer all the transportation that they offer for employees. And so just a good program there. So other than that, I don't think there's anything.
Do we need to do any action on our planned department meetings that we're gonna hold, or just reading this?
Yeah, we can do that. Stan, I guess I want to comment for the press. Stan's been invited to serve on the legislative committee of the Indiana IAC, Indiana Association of County Commissioners. So thank you for your willingness to do that. I think that's a neat honor that you were asked to do that.
Yeah, well, they just didn't know what they were getting into.
That's good.
I
That'll be
appreciate
a
that.
few trips here and there for that.
Doug, what have you got?
We as commissioners are going to plan what we already have. Tony's got the dates. He's going to publish to department heads. Each commissioner is going to kind of monitor a department head meeting throughout the year. I think we've decided that
Kind of
we've
host
got
a
the
meeting.
date, host a meeting. We're
Yeah.
gonna do one in April, July, and what was the
November.
November. So just for the official record, for the minutes, Tony, we're going to host those meetings for the department heads to voice any concerns or positive or negative concerns. We're going to give them a voice to what we're about, to basically aid them in whatever we can in each department.
Anything else, Doug?
Other than that, I have nothing.
Okay. I have a couple things, if you don't mind. Comcast and Doug, you're a victim of this a little bit. I know you worked around it, but we've talked for the last year or two about broadband availability and lack of good broadband availability throughout the county. And I know that's been a particular struggle of yours down in the southern part of the county, getting availability to the internet and whatnot. There's an upcoming deadline, I believe it's the end of this month, for a new round of funding. And Comcast has come to us for another one of those support letters that we've done in the past that basically says that
We're in need and we support Comcast in their efforts to try to satisfy that need for additional broadband coverage. The letter that they have sent us is kind of a boilerplate letter. They've asked us to fill in some blanks on that. So if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to work and try and get some kind of blanks filled in and then bring that back next week for you to take a look at and see if you can support that letter.
I think the only reason I hesitated was it sounded from their last letter, they wanted us to support them exclusively.
Yeah, that was Mainstream Fiber that kind of had that exclusivity in their proposed letter. The Comcast letter does not have exclusivity in it, so it'll support them, but it does ask for a financial commitment that if they would be awarded. So I'm not exactly sure how we want to do, what we want to do with that. It could be, they requested maybe as little as $10,000. I think we would certainly be willing to throw $10,000 at trying to solve that problem. But let me look at how the letter's worded a little bit better, and I'll bring that back to you guys with a recommendation maybe next week.
Well, and that would not be completely unprecedented, although it's been a long time ago. We did support bringing fiber up through the county.
Yeah.
Through, well, it wasn't Watch. Trying to think of who our fiber company.
It's, Watch is.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been Watch.
CFS, Community Fiber
Community Fiber
Solutions.
Solutions.
Fiber Solutions.
Yeah, which is
Fiber.
a division of Watch,
And
I
it's
believe.
probably been 10 years ago, but
Yep.
they asked for a financial commitment to build out in the county, and we did support that.
Yeah, and this would only be if they would be awarded this BEAD funding, which is, if they get a few millions of dollars to throw at the problem, I'm sure we can scrape together $10,000. But anyway, I'll look at that letter and bring that back to you guys next week.
Send that to me and Clayton, we'll take a
I'll
look
do
at
that.
it too.
Quick update on the vision project, the countywide vision project that we've been working on. We have a kind of a kickoff call this afternoon that we're going to begin to working with. If you remember, we awarded that contract to American Structure Point. We'll be beginning that discussion with American Structure Point this afternoon. Then there'll be follow-on meetings with that steering committee. We have that 20-plus person steering committee. And we've engaged American Structure Point to help us walk down this path to find that, to be able to come together with a countywide collaborative vision for the future of Adams County. So we're going to just begin that. How do we do it? When do we do it? Who's involved? All that discussion starts this afternoon. So I'll keep you up to date on where we're at on that.
Then just, does that somewhere tie in with the overall Adams County comprehensive plan, Steve?
The
Or
comprehensive land use plan, is that the
Yeah.
plan you're referring to?
yeah,
What I've asked them to do is to help the plan commission to look at updating or revising that plan. So there'll be a portion of their work that'll be working with the plan commission to bring that plan forward. So yes, those two things kind of work together, even though they're a bit, this is this and this is this. They certainly have to walk hand in hand down the path toward a future for Adams County.
any time frame on this massive project you're
You
involved
know,
with?
they've told us 12 to 18 months. So it's sometime over the next year to year and a half.
One other thing just came to mind. Do we still do a 2-year CDIT plan?
Did we approve that last year? Stan, do you remember when we last
I
updated
think it
that
was the year
CDIT plan?
before. I think,
Okay,
I
so we
think
may
this-
do,
It might be up this March.
we may be due.
Okay, is that done in March?
Yep.
Okay,
The other thing I have on my list is Stan has been so good, well, he was chairman to bring us kind of an ongoing business update that I've relied on to try to keep on top of all the various things we're working on. And so just Stan, if you would be so kind as to continue to keep that updated for us and bring that to us once a month or something like that.
Yeah, if you're
So-
okay with that, Doug, I don't know if
Yeah.
you saw that.
well, I did.
It's just kind of a laundry list of things we're working on and I
Well,
did,
and it's nothing official. It's just
Yeah.
No,
always
that's,
open for
I have no
additional.
Yeah,
problem
it's
with
just
that
kind of bullet
whatsoever.
points, yeah. So Stan, thank you
Because I
for
was having
being willing to do
projects
that.
Kind of slipped in my mind that we were
You
working.
even got the seat of the locations on here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can't stay on top of everything.
Yeah,
so,
that's good. I have no
Stan,
problem with
thank
that. We
So,
all need a
You're
review now
welcome
and
to
then.
keep that if you'd like. but,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a helpful list.
That's all I have. Anything from the public that we need to be thinking about as we move forward? Sir,
I just got a question.
name and maybe where you reside, please.
My name is Davis Maki. I live in 1196 East, 900 North.
Okay.
I just have one question. The meeting that you were referring to this afternoon, is that open to the public?
It is not. It's just it's kind of a kickoff call. We've got, I think Colton Bickel and I are both going to be on a phone call with our project manager from American Structure Point. But as that moves forward, obviously the success of that plan is totally dependent upon how well we engage with all the members of the public. So I think there's going to be lots of opportunity for the public to be engaged in that process. What are you thinking? What are your concerns? What are the things you want to make sure we don't mess up? And what are the things that we need to be thinking about? A lot of opportunity for that, but this particular meeting is not that meeting.
Okay.
In reference to the gentleman's question, there's always probably people that will drop off at a committee or room for new committee members. So you might want to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think there'll be, as we move forward, and again, we'll let American Structure Point kind of lead us down the path. But as we move forward with this, they're probably going to suggest we create this committee and that committee, and we're going to be looking for a lot of input. So stay tuned. There'll be a website that'll be created. You'll be able to follow the progress on the website. There's a whole we're going to have a communication point person that'll be assigned to us that'll be responsible for communicating with all the members of residents of Adams County, how we do that communication, where you see that at. That's all yet to be determined, but that's kind of where we're starting at. So you're going to see a lot of that. Believe me, if you want to be involved, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for input and be involved. Sure. Ian, I see you sitting back there. Anything we need to be working on for you?
Not today.
Okay, not today, not today. Okay. Anything else?
Sure. Did you need anything approved as far as your contract on that software and camera?
For the, Tony, I don't think so. We're just gonna try and figure out where it's gonna come from, then we'll probably come back to you. We need to, it kind of depends. If we go through the rainy day fund, then yes, we'll need your approval. If we go through county general, then we probably won't. So once Tony and I sit down, and we can come back to you next week to find out if we need something from you.
Because at this point, those contracts that you sign don't necessarily have to come back to the commissioners, do they?
It hasn't already been approved.
Well, no, it has not. I'm waiting for final stuff for, like purchasing agreement, so that I haven't got the final.
Yeah, that has to be approved by the commissioners.
Correct, or I'll bring it to you, they can approve or they can.
Yeah.
Because I know there's some contracts that he does not have to bring to us.
I have to bring all contracts to you, and you have 14 days to review, but if it comes to the safety and security of the facility or the inmates, for some reason, if you don't like it, but I still have the budget and money and it meets the requirements by law of a valid contract, I can still sign even though you don't like it.
Is there a dollar amount tied to that?
No, and that's something that I was gonna speak to you guys afterwards in office about, the project Clayton and I are on as far as coming up with an, I don't know if it's a resolution or ordinance that I can do something up to whatever we decide on, because like when I bring you my pest control contract that I did in January,
Sure.
that's when you said, okay, you two work something out so you don't have to deal with those type of contracts, but all contracts have, given to you for your opportunity to review.
Right.
Am I saying that all correctly, Mark?
Yeah, I believe so, but it's still, in order to be able to execute a contract without, if the commissioners review and let's say they say they don't approve it, okay, but to be able to exercise or to be able to execute such a contract, then anyway, you have to have funds appropriated.
Correct.
And so when
That's
it comes
the
to,
budget item already.
yeah, so when it comes to large contracts, you know, for $100,000 or software. I mean, typically, unless you've already been to council and anticipated that type of expenditure, you're not gonna have the funds anyway. And so, you know, that's kind of the check and balance.
Anything else? If not, gentlemen, if you're ready for an adjournment.
Move for adjournment.
Second.
Stand adjourned.